And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another day, another edition of the HomeStory Cup 24 Group A, day number 2. I'm, of course, your host, Live VIP, and with me, I'm joined by the people in the chat, by the arena, the stadium, the Galactic Rumble that is HomeStory Cup 24, and this is a continuation to yesterday's broadcast. Yesterday, we covered half of Group A, and today we're here to cover the other half as well. I am ready for it, and just to quickly go over some of yesterday's matches, I do recommend checking out the VOD. There are a lot of really good games, a lot of really good series here, as we do quickly head on over. And I think the highlight, so these are yesterday's matches. The highlight for me was definitely DNS versus Elazer. It was a sick series, and especially after covering Cyril versus DNS at the start of the day, we saw how DNS was like approaching the matchup and like kind of what he was striving for as well, but Cyril, we saw he was able to just shut him down at almost every turn. And we saw that kind of same style actually come to fruition against Elazer and actually work incredibly well. And yeah, DNS, he was able to pop off, taking down Elazer. Big win for him, big win. Other highlights, of course, Dolan, Papi Dolan. We saw a lot of Dolan builds last night with mixed success as well. He came so close, for example, game 2 against Cyril with the 1-base all-in. We had his 2-base mech all-in against Harstem, which was unscattered completely. And if only he had adjusted it a little bit, it would have worked, especially on Oceanborn. Like, the Oceanborn game was insane, and I could definitely see that mech all-in working there. I mean, it worked against Nina, and it almost did work against Harstem. If only we had some anti-air. The turrets were just a little bit too late. But a big moment there. So yeah, I recommend checking it out. Also, Harstem versus Fiant. Fiant able to pop off against Harstem and able to force the ace match as well. Really good games from Fiant, and he almost took the series as well, which is surprising. Like, I feel like a lot of people rate Harstem quite highly, you know, when it comes to the players amongst the European scene. So for an up-and-comer, for a player that has yet to really prove himself like Fiant, to force the ace match and to almost take the series, good stuff. Good stuff there by Fiant. But that was yesterday's matches, and here today we are here to conclude Group A with the remainder of those series, as we do quickly switch on over, and bam, there we go. Today's matches, we're going to be starting things off with Elazer versus Harstem, followed by Cyril versus Harstem as well, so Harstem back-to-back. We got Dolan versus DNS, Cyril versus Elazer, Harstem versus DNS, and Fiant versus Dolan at the end of the night. It's a lot of StarCraft. It is a lot of StarCraft here. 6 matches in total. We're going to be covering the first 3, then we're going to be going on a short break, then we'll be covering the other 3 thereafter as well. So yeah, we do have those matches ahead of us. I did also say before as well, when it comes to the rest of the weekend of StarCraft, DreamHack Atlanta is tomorrow. It does start in just over 24 hours. Tomorrow, 2 a.m. for me, and whatever time for you guys in Europe and in the Americas. It's going to be great. We're going to be there casting as well. I mean, I say we're going to be there. We're going to be live here on this channel, casting day 1 of DreamHack Atlanta. So it's going to be a bit of a later start for us tomorrow, but we're probably gonna preserve our strengths. I might stream tomorrow on my personal channel just to, like, you know, get things going. But yeah, DreamHack Atlanta is going to be taking place tomorrow, and I'm still unsure as to some of the details, but for the most part, we are confirmed to cover day number 1. I don't think we're going to be covering day 2 or day 3. You know, the main casters, the mainstream, they got you covered there. We'll just be there for the first day. So yeah, definitely something to look forward to. It's going to be a great weekend of StarCraft. Time to ruin our sleep schedules. Let's go. I guess the biggest problem with it is that I think we're still casting stuff over the weekend, right? I'm just gonna double check. I know KSL is on hiatus, but yeah, we're still gonna be covering Euro Cup. Euro Cup is over the weekend. Sparkling Tuna Cup is over the weekend. So we're still I can't ruin my sleep schedule too much, because we're still going to be casting on Saturday and Sunday as well. So at least it's going to be a little bit lighter, because there's no WTL, no World Team League this weekend, no KSL this weekend. Today's just Total Tussle. We're done for the year. We've already wrapped up the final event of the year for that. So yeah, we're kind of wrapping up 2023 as we near closer and closer to the holidays, to Christmas. Yeah, we're gonna try and take some more days off around Christmas time and all that stuff, so we can spend time with our families and enjoy. But until then, let's dive into it. We do have our first best of 3 up before us. It is going to be Elazer versus Harstem. Let's go. I am ready for it here. Some of the heavier hitters in the group, in the tournaments, are going to be facing off here before us. Elazer, Harstem, Serral as well. They're all going to be duking it out. And here we go. Let's dive on in to game number 1. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of side Delta, we have the Polish Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Team Liquid. It is Elazer. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Blue Protoss, representing Shopify Rebellion from the land of the Netherlands. It is Harstem. Here we go. Both Elazer and Harstem have been doing fairly well for themselves. I mean, I say that the loss that Elazer had to DNS is a big one, and because of that, again, these groups are brutal. I believe it's only top 2. Top 2 make it out of each group, so very unforgiving, especially with Serral in the group as well. So Serral, he's poised to make it out first. For those to make it out second, best of luck to everyone involved here. Again, DNS is a wild card that can definitely bring down some players with him, alongside Fiant and Dolan, who of course are crazy, and especially Dolan has crazy builds. Upsets are definitely a possibility. So yeah, this is going to be a very important match here, for both Harstem and Elazer, to determine who else makes it out of the group alongside Serral. Here we go. For now, Elazer is going to be going for a hatch gas full standard opener from our Red Zerg player. Everything's looking normal as it should. Harstem is going to be coming in for a probe scout, just confirming this as well. And we know Elazer, he's not really one to cheese, especially in this matchup. He's willing to be aggressive in other matchups, that is true. But against Protoss, a hatch gas pool is kind of what we expect to be seeing. We have seen Elazer meme it up in the past. If you were here a couple of weeks ago for the House Open Cup number 3, Elazer versus Papi, Elazer did go 2-base. I think he went 2-base Swarm Host, right? He went 2-base Swarm Host Nidus, and he died horribly. Elazer was trying to meme it up against Papi, and Papi shut him down. So yeah, we've seen him like have some fun and clown it up every now and then, but usually it's still off of 2 bases. Usually it's still off of a standard opener, so we'll keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on Elazer. Meanwhile, across the map, we do have Harstem just going for a gate expand into the Cybercore. Standard opener from our Protoss player. Standard opener, but we spoke about this yesterday. If you weren't here for it, Harstem is more unique in his playstyle. He has very unique builds that really no one else does. He has certain kind of delayed Twilight Council builds, or delayed, or even, fast third bases as well. He can be hyper greedy. He has his own unique playstyle here, which is also why it's a lot of fun to watch him, just because, you know, no one else really emulates Harstem as much. Harstem, he just adds these like little adjustments and little variations. Nothing major, but there's these like little variations that do, you know, make him stand out a little bit more. Which is why it's always a treat watching Harstem, at least in PvZ. He's a little bit more by the book against Terran and against Protoss. As the probe is going to be zoned away, Elazer can now expand, take his third base freely. First Adept has arrived, but you can see Elazer, he is set up. He's got one queen here at his third base. We have a couple of lings as well, just to help reinforce, just in case we commit to the shade. And Harstem, he does threaten the shade, doesn't commit. He's going to still shark around in between the bases, forcing Elazer to just keep his workers here back at home. Meanwhile, a couple of lings do slip into the natural base, so we're looking for a probe kill. Up! Oh my god. We're looking for a worker. It looks like we don't quite get one yet. These lings, they should be able to get a scout to the main base, though. Oh my god. Elazer, can you get one? Just barely doesn't get one, and both lings are going to be shut down as well. Elazer, did we slip into the main? We did not, so we didn't get a free scout. Elazer, a little bit greedy here, who was looking for a probe kill. He valued that over getting a confirmed scout in the main, but at the same time, it's a standard opener, so not the biggest of deals that the lings got shut down. Just a little bit greedy there from Elazer, as Harstem is looking to try to reciprocate that damage. Threatening shades across the map. Oracle is zooming as well. Second Oracle in production, and again, triple Oracle into a third base is what we expect to be seeing here from Harstem. And we'll see how much damage he can get done. So far, 2 Adepts, they do shade into the main base. They commit this time as the Oracle comes in from behind. Good reaction out of Elazer. He does pull back his drones. Adepts are going to be going down, but we still will lose some workers. 3 drones. 3 drones here for 2 Adepts. Pretty even trade here, especially because the Adepts went down. The Oracle, still with a pretty healthy amount of HP, is going to race back home and should be swapping over with some of these other Adepts as we have a second and soon to be a third Adept on the way. Behind this, third base is being taken. Elazer did lose most of his Lings. He's down to only 6 Lings remaining. Is going to counterattack, is going to threaten this third, but with only 6 Lings, we shouldn't really force an overreaction. Like this should be dealt with quite nicely. As the Lings have arrived, they're going straight for the pylon though. The Oracle does make it here in time and should be able to shut this down. There we go, we do force the activation of the Pulsar Beam, we do kill 1 Ling, and Elazer does get the hell out of there. Now Harstem, he does divert his attention towards the third. There are 3 Queens in position, but they have to keep up with the Adepts. Adepts, they will commit to the shade. The Lings, they come out just in time. We got 1 drone. It looks like we can maybe get a second. Wait, we get 2 drones? 2 workers for 2 Adepts. Again, I would say actually a better trade for Elazer here. Trading 1 for 1, minimizing losses, maintains his economy. Not a bad start here for our Zerg player, and Harstem has been bleeding out a lot of Adepts. Behind this, we have Robo Twilight Council alongside a Forge as well. It was a slightly delayed Twilight Council as we have seen in the past, but this should be for Blink and +1. Never mind, we're going for Charge instead, and we should be taking up even further from here into Archons. Okay, so Harstem going to be a little bit more aggressive. He's going to be looking for a timing. Basically, there's going to be a window. When Charge +1 and the Archons arrive, there's going to be a big power spike moment here for Harstem. On 3 bases, he can push out. It's going to be on Elazer to prepare in time. I love this as well. Harstem, he's pushing out with a handful of Stalkers. This screams Blink Stalkers. This screams +1 Blink, because otherwise you wouldn't be aggressive with this. Blink wouldn't be done by now, but you would be assertive with your Stalkers. You have your Oracles to support, and eventually you keep the pressure up and you reinforce, and then you rock up with Blink Stalkers as well. So I love that Harstem, he's kind of selling a story here. Behind this, Elazer's double expanding. He's getting a 4th and a 5th base. Droning up, getting up to 3 base saturation. He's going for Ling Bane. No, it does have a Roach Horn, thankfully. Lair is still in production for that Roach speed. Double Oracle once again threatening that natural base. Good reaction out of Elazer. Does pull back in time. Oh, God, no! Does pull back in time, but the transferring drones, they get caught out. 3 workers go down. Nice recalls here from Harstem. Finally, some damage without losing Adepts. And there's that Temple Archive. So again, we're still waiting for this to kick in. As I say that, Charge and +1 are finishing now, and Harstem is pushing with it. Okay, bold move here. Instead of biding his time and waiting for those Archons, we're pushing here and now. And is Elazer ready for this? We have 29 Lings, 0 Roaches. Decent surround on some of these Zealots, but the Lings are being cleaned up. Lings are being shut down. We try to dive on some of these reinforcements as well. Not bad pickups here from Elazer. He's buying time for Roaches, essentially. He does need to buy time. The Queens are doing what they can. We do have Transfuse. Up. Oh, we do barely keep the Queens alive a little bit longer, but Queens are going down. Yeah, 1 Queen does pull a 2nd Queen as well, but we do clean up the Zealots, and now Roaches are arriving. This is still very close here as the Lings, they try to come in first round, but Elazer does hold. Again, that was a scary moment for Elazer, but he was able to buy enough time for his Roach reinforcements. Now he's safe and sound. He has a 4th and a 5th base. He's droned up to 80 at this point. Ooh, a little bit greedy here from Elazer, and he's gotten away with it. He has gotten away with the greed. Rock's gonna be knocked down. We have a double Oracle here towards the south. No Spore. No Spore! No Spore in position. Drones are gonna be going down here. 5 workers. Ay, ay, ay. And the Oracles, they will barely make it out as well. At the same time, Zealots, they do get warped into the main base. Ling's not quite in position. I appreciate the whole position here on these drones. Keeping the Queen alive. Disrupting the AI. Forcing back Harstem. But that's still 6 workers going down. And now we have that next power spike. With Archons, with soon-to-be Storm as well. Storm still in production. The Immortal count getting higher and higher. I would say the Elazer's in a better position at this point, but does have to be wary here as he's going for his own counterattack. Like, this is a pretty terrifying army that he's going to be running into. And he's still droning up, still waiting for his upgrades to finish up as well. Harstem does have eyes on the Roach Ravager. And he's just going to be chilling here, expanding, taking a 4th base. So the game is going to be settling from here. Something that I'm concerned about as the game does settle. Elazer, he's maxed out, you know, he's got a good worker count, he's refining his army with Lingbane Road Ravager. This infestation bit, it's late. There's a late pit here from Elazer, which means a late hive, which means late hive tech. Whether it would have been lurkers or ultras or a greater spire, this is delayed for Elazer. A couple of workers go down here at the triangular third. We see Elazer trying to go for a counterattack at the same time, but we are in position. Harstem, yeah, he's going to be able to force us back. And for the time being, Elazer doubling down on Lingbane Road Ravager. The problem with this army is that this army needs to trade. We need to be active, we need to move out sooner rather than later. But as he's getting ready to push out, Harstem is getting ready for his own counterattacks. We have Zealots here towards the south, Zealots towards the north. Main armies are going to be engaging. Storm is done already. I do think that Elazer has been resting on his laurels a little bit here. He's been maxed out for quite some time. And here come those Zealots. The Prism into the main is going to be deflected. Zealots, they rock up. That's a lot of Spines. But the Spine Cooler is not ready here towards the south. And the Ling reinforcements have to reroute here towards the southern bases. And the Natural as well. These Zealots are going to be cleaned up, but it is buying Harstem time. It's buying him time to get even more Immortals and Archons. His Death Bull of an army is becoming more and more terrifying. How many Immortals do we have? We have 4, soon to be 5 Immortals. We have 6, soon to be 7 Archons as well. We have plenty of High Templar, plenty of Storm. This army, when it does push, it's going to be terrifying. And if Elazer is still stuck on Lingbane Road Ravager, Harstem, he can snowball out of control. Like, now we have the Hive on the way. Now we have the Spire on the way. Again, this tech is late. It's delayed. And Elazer's being outscaled. Big storms here on the Bailings. Now, there's still a world. If Elazer can get us around, like, that's the... Oh, God. If he can get us around, he can clean up this army. But here we go. Big warp in into the main base. Good positioning here from Elazer, though. Yeah, he does force back these Zealots, but his army turns back around, which means Harstem, he's got more time. No, miss rally! Immortal goes down. It's actually pretty huge. Losing an Immortal for free, essentially. Got 3-3 on the way. Oh, looks like we had a bit of a pause here. Thankfully, everything's okay. Did have a bit of a pause. Elazer going for his own Ling counterattack. The cannons and shield batteries finishing up. A little bit too late, actually. Elazer will get here. At the same time, pushing towards his house. He runs into the main army. Oh, the Bailings, they do take down 2 Archons, but that was a lot of Bailings. Shield batteries and cannons get cleaned up, but we have a recall. Looks like we'll get here in time. At the same time, Elazer trying to pull apart Harstem. He gets another couple of Archons. Big pickoffs. That's 4 Archons going down, and Immortal as well. A bit of a blundered recall from Harstem. The Lings, they stuck around. They shut down the army. Really good moment here for Elazer. And this is what he needed. He needed to stifle this army before it got out of hand, and he did well for himself. He killed 2 Immortals, 6 Archons. Didn't touch the High Templar yet, but that's going to be up next. That is the next target here for Elazer. Try and dive on top of this army and deal with those High Templar. Greater Spires on the way. Still a little bit delayed. On the way. Harstem pushing through the center here. Again, Elazer looking for that surround. And Bailey's going to be rolling on in. We do force out some storms. At the same time, big Ling cannon attack. We get into the middle line. Probes are going down, but we are forcing our way up into the natural. These Baileys, that may just be done too late. We still have so many storms available. Up. But the Baileys, they crash in and they take down the High Templar. We get a full surround. We clean up this army. We needed that surround, and things were looking close, but Elazer, he bought his time. He cleans up the army. 18 workers go down across the map as well. Harstem, he loses his army, he loses his economy. GG gets called, and Elazer takes game number 1. Whew. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Elazer taking that first game. Things looking a little bit scary for him initially, but it was so important that Elazer suddenly became very active. The moment when we saw the recall, right? That was the moment where Archons were going down, Immortals were being picked off. He just picked Harstem apart. His push was still terrifying, but Elazer, he was so patient. He was so patient, just kiting back towards his natural base, luring the army closer into the creep in between the bases. The Banelings finished up, we got the full surround. That's exactly what Elazer needed. It was a little bit risky because he was counterattacking at the same time with all those lings, but despite that, he was able to, again, bring it all together, get the surround, shut Harstem down. GG. GG. Very well done. Despite the shaky start, Elazer pulled it back in the end, and with that, he's going to be leading this series as we get into game number 2. Just catching up. Is this a replay? Yes. So to reiterate, this is a continuation to last night's broadcast. We are going to be going over the group stage of HomeStory Cup here on this channel. We missed out on the playoff brackets. Sorry, I should say we're not going to be covering the playoff bracket, which is day 3 of HomeStory Cup, but we will be going over day 1 and day 2. Day 1 and day 2 here in the lead up to DreamHack Atlanta. DreamHack Atlanta is tomorrow. We're going to be casting it live on this channel, at least day 1 of DreamHack Atlanta. And because a lot of events are on hiatus because of DreamHack, because so many players are traveling, that's why there are no live casts going on over the next couple of days, next week as well. That's why we have a couple of free days to go over some of the replays that we missed, to go over HomeStory Cup. So here we go. We're now getting into game number 2. I like that somebody's casting all games that I've missed. Yeah, I mean, old games, they're, you know, it's like 2 weeks old. These events happened 2 weeks ago, so not that old, but yeah. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. And here we go, spawning in the top right-hand corner of Alkione. We have the Polish Zerg player, the blue Zerg representing Team Liquid. It is Elazer. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the red Protoss representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Harstem. Again, that was a very committed style out of Harstem. We were pointing out the fact that he was, of course, hitting his first charge timing, and then his later Archon Storm timing as well. Very aggressive style in game 1 with Harstem, but Elazer, he was able to barely hold on each and every time. The defense against the +1 charge was quite close, but he was able to buy time for his roaches, and oh my god, it's time for Elazer to be the aggressor. Let's go. Does mine through these mineral patches, and he's going hatch first here at the goal base location. Elazer has been very fond of taking this goal base, not just in ZVP. We've also seen Elazer do this in ZVZ as well. It is something that you do have available to you here on this map, on Alkione. We'll see if we can get away with it. We have seen some players be punished quite hard. Recently, this past week, these past 2 weeks of StarCraft, Dark has been very fond of taking this goal base on the other side, on this side instead, just because it's a little bit easier to defend when it comes to your reinforcements from your main base, because it's on, you know, the same side of the map as your main, and you can also use it as a launch pad to spread creep across the map and to go for an all-in. So yeah, it's kind of a newer variation of hatch first for the goal base that Dark has been going for. Elazer going for the more traditional way, just going for it here on the right hand side, and it's going to be on Harstem to figure out what's going on. He will take control of the Zelnaga, but I believe that will not cover the gold, but he's checking. Yeah. Goes for the Zelnaga, checks the goal base location. He does get eyes immediately on that hatchery. He sees, he knows. And how will Harstem respond? And how will Elazer react as well? Something that we have seen from Dark is that he does prioritize spine crawlers. He does prioritize the spine crawler here to defend against Adepts, and he gets 2 queens out as well to deal with the Oracle, alongside Lings on the ground. But we'll see how Elazer does respond. For now, going to be Hatch Gas Pool from Elazer. Likewise, we have a Gate Expand into the Cybercore, into a Stargate Opener, just like the previous game for Harstem. Standard opener from Harstem. Everything is looking standard. The Adept has arrived. Rook's still not quite knocked down, so this Adept can actually clean up some of these Lings. Yeah, the first Ling goes down. Oh. Trying to go for those drones. Good reaction out of the Elazer. Does pull back in time. Up! Still loses one of those drones, though. Not a bad start for Harstem. Meanwhile, Harstem, he responds by taking his own gold. I love it. Let's go. Going for the goal base as well as the third. A very risky maneuver here. Very fast third, actually. Very fast third base. This is crazy. This is what he's done before. This is a third base before the first Oracle comes out. It's like first Oracle is halfway done and we're already halfway through our third. This is wild. So instead of trying to punish this gold, Harstem, he's just getting into his own greed instead. Very brave. Very brave maneuver here from Harstem. We'll see if we can get away with it. As Lings have arrived, they're checking for the third base. Oracle's moving out. What are the chances that Elazer checks though, right? It's like this could go by unnoticed. As the Oracle does dive into that goal base, we focus on 3 drones already. Yeah, the Queens, they were a little bit out of position. They were spreading creep instead. So good pick off there by Harstem. Lings, they will... Oh, they check! Oh my god. Lings will check the goal base. They do get eyes on the would-be shield battery on the Nexus. Now, with this gold from the Zerg player, this usually leads into an all-in. We do have a fast Roach Warren on the way, so this is going to be a Ling Roach all-in from Elazer. He's going to be whirling Queens across the map as well. Hyper-aggression from our Zerg player. I'm going to be very impressed if Harstem can actually defend this base. It's also possible that maybe he's going to try to force attention drawn to this gold and he retreats to his natural instead. Like, we have some options. Curious. As the Oracles, they dive back in. They get another drone kill. Lings are going to be going for a counterattack here. Just keeping an eye and eventually going to try to punish this gold. With a shield battery and an overcharge, we should be okay. With good SimCity as well, this area is very congested. Very difficult for these Lings to actually get a good surface area. As more shield batteries are on the way, more cannons as well. The Queens, they're waddling in. Here comes the all-in. The all-in is upon us. So far, Harstem going to try to hold on here. Roaches and Lings from one side. Oh, we do rally in though. If we do lose, what was that, 2 Roaches? Big pickoffs. Elazer having an awkward time engaging. Having a very awkward time as the rocks are being knocked down. Elazer still just trying to work his way towards this, but like, we have 4 shield batteries. We're so heavily fortified at this point. With 4 shield batteries, we don't have blink. Bear that in mind. The Biles. Oh, they take down the Stalker. They almost take down one of those shield batteries as well. We have the overcharge. And the Stalkers, they are standing strong within range of so much stack defense. And Harstem, he is going to be holding for now. He's going to be holding. Elazer rotates around, waiting for that overcharge to run out. Elazer still doubling down on Ling Roach Ravager. Trying to go for a counterattack. We have a shield battery back at home, which we should be safe and sound. Stalkers, they do rotate over. Blink is done. And the Stalkers, they pulled out of position. We take down 1 shield battery. We should be taking down another as well. But these Ravagers are so exposed. The Ravager does fall. Lings, they come in from behind as well. The Oracles, they're going ham on the Lings. The Vials, they threaten some of these shield batteries, and it looks like we should be able to barely break through. Yeah, Stalkers are going down. Nice hold position here in the mineral line, killing a lot of probes. Oh my god. Stalkers are on the way. The Ling count is being thinned out. Without Lings, we can dive on top of this army. Here we go. More Ling reinforcements have arrived. 14 dead workers. But Elazer, he is still so very all-in behind this. Remember, he doesn't have an economy. He has to end the game here and now, not just kill the base. Final shield battery is going to be falling. Nice blinks here from Harstem. Does pull back into the mineral line. Oracles are being focused down, but we're still running out of Lings. Oh, God. We take down the final shield battery here at the 3rd. But the Stalker army is still looking strong. Up. Say that a couple Stalkers are going down. The Vials. They connect with the pylon. Harstem still survives here, still with some saturation at this gold, which is impressive. This entire time, Harstem has still been making workers. Now rebuilding his shield batteries. There's still 1 shield battery behind this as well. Okay, the other side. We have 16 Stalkers to 20 Lings, a bit of Roach Ravager as well. Again, some of these attacks from Elazer have been a little bit disjointed. Here we go. We're forcing our way up the ramp. Trying to get on top of this army. The shield battery, once again, the overcharge is going to be kept going. The bile's missing? Wait, no shot. The shield battery keeps the pylon alive. The retarding on the pylon survives. The Lings are being cleaned up as well. Finally, we take down the pylon, but we have a backup pylon. Everything's still powered. We have another Oracle coming out as well. Yeah, we dive on top of the Ravagers. We clean them up. The base finally falls, but it wasn't worth it. No, back. It was not worth it. Harstem blinks on forward, shuts down the Ravagers, shuts down the Queens as well. And Harstem, he's got 63 probes. What's insane to me is that this entire time, GG, by the way, GG gets called. Harstem ties it up 1-1. That entire defense, the entire time Harstem was holding, he was non-stop making probes. That was the crazy thing. So even though every now and then he was losing like 10 or 7 to 14 probes at a time, he would just constantly maintain his economy, maintain his stalkers as well. We saw that Elazer was hyper-fixated on shutting down shield batteries and pylons, but the stalkers, they persisted. Aye. GG. GG, well played. Harstem ties it up 1-1. Again, a very unique kind of response to seeing the goal base, seeing essentially a 2 base all-in or 2.5 base all-in from the Zerg player, and responding by taking your own gold base and kind of meeting their aggression with just in the face, really. I was really concerned because on paper, it means that the rush distance by ground is that much shorter, so it doesn't take as long for Elazer to get there and lay siege upon that base. You could argue that maybe Elazer, maybe he was a little bit indecisive. Remember, for a long time, a lot of Lings were distracted elsewhere. Maybe we pushed in a little bit too soon, and we were bleeding out a lot of Roaches and Ravagers throughout that entire fight just because we were lacking Lings to reinforce. That was a lot that went into that. That was that was wild. GG. GG, well played. Meanwhile, big shout out to 4 Idiots in a Bunker. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Do appreciate it. Thank you for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session, I'm assuming. Hope you had a great time. Welcome. For those that are tuning in, this is a replay broadcast of the HomeStory Cup group stage. We are covering Group A. Group A of HomeStory Cup. We covered half of it last night and the other half tonight, as we're getting into the ace match. We're getting into game number 3. But yeah, that was such an interesting response and reaction from Harstem, like, to deal with that. And I guess because of the excess minerals that he had, he was taking towards charge, but he was hyperfixated on stalker production. But with all his excess minerals, he was throwing down pylons, constant shield batteries as well, always had so many of them up and running, and they more than paid for themselves. GG, well played. But now we're getting into game 3, into the ace match, and spawning in the top right hand corner of Hecate, we have the blue Zerg player from the land of Poland representing Team Liquid. It is Elazer. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Protoss representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Harstem. I'm assuming 4 Idiots in a Bunker is like a group channel. Is that right? That sounds right. Like 4 friends playing together, maybe? I don't know. Regardless, hope you had a good time. Hope you had a good time. Behind this, hatch gas pool, standard open out of Elazer. This time there's no gold base to tempt Elazer into taking it. Likewise, no gold for a Harstem's sake either. There's like half a gold base here, but we've seen it once where a Protoss player rushes into this base as a ninja base. It was wild. It was like a couple of weeks ago. It was in a PvP. But again, that's like that's more of the exception, not the norm. And really, outside of that, we haven't really seen anyone try to rush into these bases. Not really worth it. Again, there are some gold mineral patches, yes, but not enough to really justify rushing into this early on, as it is so exposed and so out of the way. So for now, gate expand into the Cyber Core. Should be getting into a Stargate opener from Harstem, but what comes after that Stargate is what I am interested in. Once again, standard opener from Elazer as well. Probe Scout is coming in just to confirm what exactly is going on. And yeah, that my mind is still wrapping its head around Alcyone, and just Harstem's response was beautiful. I loved it. I wish we could see more of that. As we should be getting into a more normal game. Now, as we load into Hecate, the style that Harstem had on side Delta, I don't think is going to be as applicable here. If you remember, he was kind of going for these certain timing attacks, going for +1 in charge, then followed by Archons, and of course Storm with that kind of death ball of a robo-based army. Yeah, just because of one, how wide and how large Hecate is, but also because of how many choke points there are, it does make it a little bit more difficult to be the aggressor. So I imagine Harstem is going to be going for a different kind of style. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes Blink Stalker instead, but we'll see. Harstem, he's also not one to shy away from rushing into Skytoss and rushing into a Fleet Beacon. Would this be a map to do it on? I wouldn't be opposed to it on Alcyone if we had a normal game there. On Hecate, potentially. You know, I'm all for it. Gibbs, man, Gibbs. So now the Adept is going to be threatening a shade here towards these mineral lines. So far, Elazer waiting for any kind of aggression. He's just getting up into his queen counts, splitting up his queens, getting his lings up and running as well. Well, we do deny one of those tumors. Not a bad pickoff here for Harstem, only losing shields, as he's now getting into his Oracle Harass. Lings are in position, and Harstem, he is going to turn back around to deal with this, just to get eyes on those lings, to make sure his third base isn't delayed for too much longer. There it is, the third is now taken. So we should soon be seeing the tech here from Harstem. There is going to be a Twilight Council on the way. I did mention before that we have seen Harstem go for an earlier Twilight Council into a delayed Forge. This usually would scream Glaive Adepts, but I think Harstem is just going to be going for a delayed Forge instead and going for Blink Stalkers. That's something that we have seen from Harstem in the past. I remember like calling Glaives and then Harstem just never went for it. And that's happened multiple times. Like, oh, okay. But we'll see. We'll see what he goes for. Meanwhile, the Oracles, they dive into the third base. They do get a couple of drone kills. They get 2 for now. And back at him. Yep, there it is. There is Blink. So this is very unique to Harstem. This is why at the start of the series I mentioned that Harstem, he usually has his own like variations or his own flair to some of his builds and playstyles. As the Adepts, they're going to be committing. Queen's a bit out of position. The Lynx as well. Drones are going to be going down. Ay, ay, ay. 5, 6 workers here, soon to be 7. Just barely, but 6 drones is still a good trade for Harstem. Probably the best kind of harassment he's had so far in this series. Usually been trading 2 for 2 or 2 for 3. But very nicely done. But yeah, this is very unique to Harstem. Where he just goes for a delayed Forge instead, for delayed +1. He will still be working towards it. This otherwise would look like a 3-base, like 8-gate Blink all-in. But I'm pretty sure we're still just going to be getting into it just a little bit delayed. And again, I like put focus on this just because Harstem's like the only player that does this. He's oh my god, and okay, we're not going for a Forge and +1, we're going for a Fleet Beacon. We are rushing into Skytoss. Okay, so I mentioned Skytoss earlier on, and I was expecting like more of a Fleet Beacon after like Void Ray opener, but no, this is very different. I kind of like this because in a way this is a little bit inefficient. Like it is a little bit of a delayed rush into Skytoss, but these Blink Stalkers, they're going to be throwing Elazer off essentially. They're kind of leading him into a different kind of direction and making it look like Harstem's playing normal and playing standard when it's anything but. So mind games essentially. I'm loving the mind games here from Harstem. As the Stalkers are going to be rotating over towards the left-hand side, they do catch some of these Queens. Big pickoffs. Elazer cutting Lings gets punished for it. 3 Queens going to be going down. The Oracle's here to support. We can go to town on these Lings. But we force a recall, a big overextension, and what are the trades going to be looking like? We left some behind. It's going to be 6 Stalkers for 3 Queens and 3 drones. Not the best trade. That's 6. That's a pretty hefty amount of Stalkers. And now that triggers a big counterattack. Uh-oh. The Lings, they have arrived. There's not much to defend back at home. Gateway's going to be going down. Elazer is going to be forced back. Behind this, carrier production has commenced. Interesting that we're going carrier and not Tempest. We have seen a little bit more popular to go into Tempest first just because of how much value they can gain. Said Harstem, you know, El Captain. Or Captain, my Captain, going for carriers instead. Do appreciate it nonetheless. As a Elazer, he's doubling down on Ling Bane. Looking at the tech, he did throw down a Roach one, and yeah, Roach speed is in production as well. But for now, hyperfixated on Lings. Ooh, we could potentially dive on this actually, but Elazer, he does respect Harstem's position, does back off. Oracle coming in from the left-hand side, just getting an eye on the saturation. Elazer is getting up to 80 workers without too much issue. He's getting away with a solid economy. Infestation bit's on the way. This time a much faster infestation bit. I do appreciate this. After seeing the 4th base, he's teching. This is something that was very late on site Delta, if you remember. This is one of the things that I was really concerned about, is the late hive from Elazer in game 1. But here, everything is on time and on point. But he's still unaware he has to get ready for some Sky Toss. Ooh, meanwhile, the Oracle comes across a naked mineral line. Ay. Well, we're out of energy, no. If only we had a little bit more energy, but regardless, 5 drones for nothing. Very nice pickoffs. This could have been worse. This could have been an entirely dead mineral line if we only had a little bit more energy. But regardless, good damage done nonetheless. Meanwhile, Harstem back at home, he's just fortifying himself. He's turtling on up. We have +1 on the way. Storm, charge as well. So we're not committing to pure Sky Toss. We have carriers, yes, but this is going to be more of a supportive... it's kind of weird. It looks like more of a supportive unit because we don't have a 3rd Stargate. We are still focusing on a ground-based army composition here to support. I would have expected a 3rd Stargate at this point. So yeah, it's interesting. Definitely interesting here from Harstem. We have a Spire on the way. Getting up to 4 carriers. But yeah, we're still focused on the ground army. So what's interesting about this composition here, now we have seen a lot of the Koreans like Hero, Classic, even Nightmare as well. They have a build where they go Void Ray Opener into Fast Tempest or Carriers, and they only reveal 4 of those Sky Toss units, and then they go for a hard switch into Ground Toss, and they hope that the Zerg player overreacts and over-responds to the Sky Toss. That's kind of what this looks like, just because we only have a handful of Carriers, but we haven't revealed the Carriers, so it's like, yeah, it's interesting. As Elazer is going to be threatening a counterattack. And the carriers have been revealed as well. Oh my god, massive storms. No bailing speed, by the way. The bailings, they try to waddle out of the storms, but they're too slow. A big fight in favor of Harstem. Does clean up a lot of that army. That was 13 bailings going down, and 16 lings, 3 roaches as well. And the carriers have been revealed, but we already had a Spire and Corruptors are in production. And again, the carrier count isn't too high, so reactive Corruptors like this isn't too bad here for our Zerg player. When I say that, I think we're hitting the 6 carrier count. We're hitting like critical mass of carriers. 6 carriers is pretty intimidating, don't get me wrong. As we are just now getting up to that count. Bearing in mind that the Elazer's Corruptors will be 0-0. 0-0 Corruptors here against the 1-0 carriers. But again, hyperfixated here on just Archons, Stalkers, Charge, Lot Storm. We can see Elazer reacting heavily here to this. We have 18 spores on the way. That's a lot of spores. That's a good way to spend our minerals, I guess. Just creating these staging grounds to deal with the carriers. Spores, very important when it comes to dealing with Sky Toss. To add to that anti-air. Corruptors are still on the way. Here we go. Harstem going to be pushing on the left-hand side. Going to be threatening a dive. Does pull back. Now, the goal here for our Elazer is to refine his army. He still has a lot of roaches. We want to get rid of these roaches. Replace them with spellcasters, vipers, or infestors. Whichever you do prefer. Getting into more corruptors. Getting into broodlords as well. Or even ultras. So far, we do deny the 5th. Denied it. Yeah, we dive on top of the carrier. 1 carrier already goes down. Oh my god, the positioning here is really awkward for Harstem, losing 2 carriers already. And I mentioned before that a bit of an awkward composition here and a bit of an awkward engagement as well from Harstem. 2 carriers instantly going down. We're down to 4. At the same time, looks like we get a Zealot Warping into the main base. This will be distracting Elazer. Lings are racing back home. Void Ray goes down. The Roaches, they're putting in some work here on the Archons. Good transfuses on these Queens. Carriers, though, they are breaking through. Big Storm here on the army as well. Elazer still a little bit too distracted here back at home, but now he turns back around. We have reinforcing Corruptors. One carrier goes down to the Spores. We're down to 3. Down to 3 carriers remaining. And behind this, we're reinforcing with Roaches. There we go. Down to 2 carriers. We recall them back home. 1 carrier left. And we shut them down. And with that, Elazer again not neglecting his ground army. Thankfully. And Harstem's in a really rough position. His army's a little bit disjointed. Like, he's got a couple of storms available, which is nice, but there's no, like, backbone to this army. The backbone was supposed to be the carrier, but it takes so long to replace them, so long to rebuild, and Harstem doesn't have the best economy. His 5th base is denied once again. Like, there's no Immortals behind this, no Disruptors, no Colossus, no mass amount of Skytoss. So his army is just very fragile here, and we can't push out. Harstem is stuck at home. He is stuck at home. Now he's trying to build up his Immortal count, but I think he only has 1 Robo. Yeah, only a single Robo, only making 1 Immortal at a time. Behind this, the Zealot counterattacks distracting his opponent. Got Zealots on the left and right-hand side. Main army pushing out to, I imagine, spread deny creep. We shouldn't be committing. The Prism is going to be shut down. We're getting some drone kills, which is nice. And Harstem is maxing out. But what's really important here, or I say maxing out, he's, you know, on the road to recovery. But he needs a 5th. He needs a space to get up and running. And Elazer is the first to reach that 200 supply mark once again. And his goal should be to deny this base. Either deny the 5th or take down this southern base. And it looks like he is going to be rotating over here towards the south. You just keep the economy of Harstem in check. And where are we going? Oh, go straight for the natural. Oh my god. We go straight for the natural instead. Oh my god, straight for the tech. Cybercore is going to be depowered. +2 is denied. The Banelings. There's no escape. The probes go down. And this is a good use of these Roaches. At the same time, a big link counterattack here at the 5th base. Harstem's being pulled apart. He doesn't have the supply to defend both locations at once. That is 33 probes going down. We mentioned before that we want to get rid of these Roaches, so this is a good, efficient way to trade them out. The 5th base has been killed. And as we lose these Roaches, we should be replacing them with Broodlords. No Lings are on the way. Greater Spire is done, working on +1 Carapace, or +1 Air Flyer Carapace. And there it is. Broodlords are on the way. So Elazer just refining his army and staying on top of the economy of Harstem. And again, a lot of this is because Harstem lost so much momentum in this series, or in this game. And the Broodlords, they have arrived just in time for the push. At the same time, another Link counterattack into the natural. Harstem at this way, he's all in. He's 100% all in. One way or another, the game will end. Either he kills Elazer or he dies trying. How many carriers? We up to 6 carriers once again, a pretty hefty amount. A good carrier count, but we don't have much to protect them. The High Templar, they're so exposed. Oh, 1 High Templar goes down. A 2nd High Templar as well. Can we get a 3rd? Oh my god. And as the High Templar was zoned away, the Corruptors move in. They take down 1 of the carriers. They take down a 2nd carrier as well. And now we can commit. We commit with everything we have. We're down to 3 carriers remaining. The High Templar have been reset. No more storms. We have 3 Archons, 1 Immortal left. Meanwhile, the Natural's dead. We're killing the main. The Lings are going ham. And we have plenty to deal with. What else is left? What little is left of Harstem. GG gets called, and Elazer will take the series 2-1, taking down Harstem. GG. GG, well played. That was an interesting play style from Harstem, an interesting build. On the surface, I appreciated the mind games. If you remember, winding it back, it was a Stargate opener, Oracle into a 3rd base, a standard opener, into Blink Stalkers without a Forge, into Skytoss, right? Into the Fleet Beacon. Now, the downside here is that because we're investing so much gas into these Stalkers, it does delay carrier production. It does delay like your ability to hit that like strong like 4 to 6 carrier timing. And on top of that, when Harstem did move out with his Stalkers, remember he lost 6 of them. He lost like half his Stalkers when he pushed out, which meant that he lost a lot of his harassing power, so he was stuck at home. He was immediately just stuck at home. Investing into those Blink Stalkers wasn't really worth it in the end, and because he invested into those Blink Stalkers, it wasn't just that they didn't do enough damage across the map, but also it delayed the carriers as well. So by the time Harstem got up to 6 carriers, Elazer was already maxed out. He was already maxed out. He was already on Harstem's side of the map as well, so he had plenty of time to react. It just took a little bit too long for Harstem to really get into the swing of things, specifically with this build of choice. I do think that it's heavily reliant on keeping those initial Stalkers alive to harass, to trade, and to keep your opponent busy, and hopefully force them to, like, you know, commit harder here to Stalkers, and you're able to get away with all those carriers and get away with a faster 4th base and a faster 5th base. It feels like a lot rides on the shoulders of those first Stalkers, and it just wasn't enough. It just was not ideal. It got shut down, and yeah, from there, Elazer was in full control. GG. GG, well played. A big shout out to Harstem nonetheless. He did force the ace match, which I do appreciate. Did force a game 3. And with that, we are getting ready for our next series. Getting ready for our next best of 3. It is going to be Serral versus Harstem. Oh my god. No break for Harstem. Back to back, Bobby. Back to back. Let's go. Let us go.